Welcome to Mocktails and Masterpieces with the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra. Today's episode is sponsored by Anthony Team Realty. Hello and good evening. I'm Dana Stone, the Executive Director of the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra, and my guest co-host today is really no stranger to you.
Great to see everyone. I'm Matthew Kraemer here, Music Director of the ICO.
Yeah, so today we were hoping to go ahead and have a chat about our upcoming season, 2024-25, Land in the Music, and also touch on our Day of Giving, which is something we started last June of 2023, our Building Community Through Music Day, which this year will be on June 11th, which is a Tuesday, coming up very soon. And it's a day where we'll focus donations made on our community engagement programs, our after-school programs, and different ways that we try to build relationships within our community. So I thought we might start talking about the season, and Matthew, since this is your creation, I'll let you begin.
It's always fascinating when we take stock of how far we've come with major milestones. Of course, last season was ICO's 40th anniversary, marvelous season with some terrific guest artists, exquisite music. And, this is a milestone year for me personally. 10 years now, I will have been music director of ICO, and just, wonderful to look back at all of the incredible concerts, wonderful artists that have shared the stage, starting with our incredible musicians. And I'm excited about this coming season because it does allow us, I think, to really present, I think, the formats that we have utilized so successfully over in numerous years. We have two commissions of works that we are premiering by Jorge Nunez and a good friend, Ronaldo Moya. Both of them are writing pieces for us. So to have two world premieres in one season is outstanding. We're presenting the four great first Viennese classic composers, Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, and Schubert. Major works by all four of those composers. That's really the bedrock of the orchestral repertoire, specifically the chamber orchestra repertoire. And our collaborations continue with our arts partners, with the American Pianist Association, International Violin Competition of Indianapolis. Serena Wang will be playing that Beethoven Violin Concerto with us. And now a new partnership with our friends at the American Songbook up at the Palladium. We'll be performing at the Palladium with Michael Feinstein. This is a major coup for us to be able to secure a partnership with Michael, to share the stage with him, the greatest ambassador for the American Songbook that we have in this country, and a marvelous performing singer too. So I'm thrilled with every aspect of it. The staples are always there. Our silent movie continues now onto its second decade. Now we're returning to comedies and Charlie Chaplin's Gold Rush, which is a marvelous film, starting off as a silent picture, and then later he added his own personal movie score to it when talking movies became a reality. And then Messiah at Christmas time. I think it's a marvelous, again, encapsulation of all the things that we have been doing here in Central Indiana, with so many wonderful guest artists to present starting in September.
So let me ask you this. I just did a TV interview with Leonid, and we were talking about the upcoming season, and he mentioned works that he's enjoyed have been ones that he hasn't known. What are some pieces that maybe audience members won't know, but you want them to discover this season?
I think many of our audience were really taken by a work we played 2 seasons ago by Frank Martin called it's a Petite Symphony Concertante. It was featured harp, piano, and harpsichord. And Frank Martin has a very unique musical language. He's a composer which I adore, and so I was very happy to be able to squeeze in there his Esquisse for Orchestra, or sketch for orchestra. It's just a modest little 13-minute piece, but it's beautiful, and it's so inventive, and a composer that maybe has no name recognition, but our musicians were really taken with his music, and I thought, well, great, let's play some more. Also, Villa-Lobos, the Brazilian composer, who is more of a recognizable name, but he has such an incredible catalog of music, and we know so little of it. He wrote these Bachianas Brasileiras, studies of Bach, but with a Brazilian kind of swing to it. But he also wrote 2 sinfoniettas for a very small orchestra. We'll perform his first sinfonietta, which was dedicated to Mozart and has shades of Mozart, of course, filtered through South American musical landscape. And as I mentioned, the new works that we're performing. We also have works by Anna Klein, marvelous living composer, one of my favorites, called Restless Oceans. In addition to Brian Raphael Neighbors, who is a marvelous ascending composer, and it's just a 2 minute joyous work of his entitled Jubilo. But if I have to pick one favorite, I have to say probably the Berlioz Nuit d'été with Ashley Dixon, who'll be joining us. Berlioz's Summer Nights is a beautiful song cycle. It is in the repertoire extensively, but it's the first work of Berlioz's that I've been able to program because most of his works are so enormous. But this one works beautifully for chamber orchestra. So, I've named just about everything on our season so far. But there's, of course, the tried and true, the Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, and also the undiscovered repertoire, in addition to new works.
So this upcoming season, it's interesting how themes sort of evolve, even as you're planning. We have a lot of featured voice, which I think is exciting for me personally as a singer myself, with Ashley starting off the season, and then of course Messiah and Haydn's Mass, and then Michael, of course, in May. What can you add anything to that? What do you think about bringing so much voice to one season? It seems pretty joyful.
You're right. Somehow these things just kind of take a turn. It's like I liken it to creating a 5 course meal for friends. You might start off with one thing that is going to be on that menu, and then all of a sudden things just kind of ebb and flow, and before you know it, you have this incredible evening plan. Well, the same is true with planning a season. I start off with works that I've been trying to get into the repertoire for a while, and then all of a sudden, through one turn, something else presents itself. But I think it's very important for us to do this because we often have pianists, violinists, and then cellists, and then occasionally the woodwinds will feature in some bizarre things like that harpsichord, harp and piano combination. But we have not presented a voice extensively in the 10 years that I've been here because we've always had Messiah and Christmas Oratorio and other aspects of that. But I think to be able to present such a variety of vocal repertoire, from American Songbook to a staple of the early Romantic period to our Baroque standards, I think it really does offer a variety of different singers to present, and also some really incredible repertoire.
I'm really excited about it as well. So I thought maybe now we'd pivot to talking a little bit about our Building Community Through Music initiative. And I'll start by saying that this really was sort of the result, I guess, of many talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And of course, we've always had music education aspects to our organization and community engagement. We've been in the parks for 10 years. Now we're in 3 parks, and we've had a school field trip for many, many years. But I think the way that we have found to connect with the community is something new in the past 3 or 4 years, where we've found community partners, some of them being of an artistic or nature, whether it's Elsa STEM or Suzuki or a local middle school choir, and then into more social services, whether it's Earth Charter Indiana or the Jewish Community Center or the Anti-Defamation League. So what has been kind of a meaningful collaboration for you, whether it's an artistic one or more of a social services type organization that we've partnered with in the past few years?
Honestly, you named so many there, and they've all been very memorable and so important to us too. One of the earlier collaborations we had was with the city of Indianapolis and our Sister Cities program, and this extensive list of over 20 different cities in the world where Indianapolis shares a partnership, and we were able to partner with Hangzhou, China, and the Chinese embassy up in Chicago when we brought Wu Man, who is a native of Hangzhou, China, and now an internationally celebrated pipa player, performing concertos with the orchestra. So that's a partnership which we began discussion this, and we had no idea how it was going to play out. But it ended up being a very meaningful collaboration over a season with the city of Cologne and Hangzhou, China. And then all of these arts partners within education have been so memorable for us as well. And then we do have this extensive relationship, which continues with our arts partners, violin competition that admits an APA, the symphonic choir, the children's chorus. So many of those collaborations have always yielded such remarkable programs, including the Dance Kaleidoscope program, which we just now presented for 3 times successfully. So it doesn't matter really where the conversation starts, it matters where it ends when we're discussing with collaborators, because we can always find a meaningful way of presenting music in a format which I think is beneficial to all of us in Central Indiana.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been fun to see how an idea or a thought or a theme evolves into something so much more. Our Silence Voices concert with that was this past January with Victoria Bond's commissioned piece about Anne Frank's tree, and how that evolved to include the ADL and the JCC and young Jewish people singing on stage, performances at the Children's Museum. It's amazing to see the different ways that music has helped us connect with people that love the arts, but maybe haven't felt as welcomed as they could. So I think next year we have a project that you mentioned it briefly about with Ronaldo Moya, focusing on the story of a refugee, sort of a universal approach to homeland and displacement. And I know we're starting to think about ways we can partner with local organizations to ensure that one, that message is authentic, and that we can bring people in through music.
It's absolutely right, because it has opened so many avenues to us to be able to better embrace so many different cultures within the city, to share messages, to show how music can relate to it, and also help to enhance narrative and storytelling. And I just, it continues to show us that music is alive, that what we're doing on stage can, I believe, help in so many different ways, extend, again, messages across borders, and find ways to connect with people, even if they are adamant that they don't like classical music. Well, we've, I think, opened many, many doors for the ICO, for communities here. And it starts with those parks programs that you mentioned, growing from one program now to three different parks in three very distinct areas of the city, and those partnerships that we share the stage with, bringing so many people to hear the ICO for the very first time.
So I think now I'd like to call on our listeners to put some comments in the chat about people or organizations that we should be reaching out to. You've heard a little bit about our season. Who do you think that we need to be serving? Who should we reach out to as an artistic or social partner in sharing music with Indianapolis? We always love having a conversation, because you never know after a conversation what comes next. So that's your challenge for today. Well, thank you so much for listening. And this is my call to action. Besides asking you to actively participate in helping us connect with the community, I would like you to actively participate in helping us connect to the community financially. So all of these programs cost money. Our orchestra is fully professional. And each time we go into the community, we want to do so with our best musicians and our best foot forward. And we need your help. We would like to raise $10,000 today to help secure funding for our parks concerts, our education concert, and our after school program. $10,000 is part of the cost. It certainly does not cover it all. But it will help us get to the point where we need to be to continue moving forward. So you can make a gift on our website. You can call us. You can send a check in the mail. We'll take it whichever way that you can. Gifts of a Roth IRA, a rollover, charitable distributions, whatever you need to do, we're here for you.
This programming that is made possible by your support has affected so many people. Again, those free parks concerts open to the community, but also our education programs, which continue to expand, reaching more and more students every year. We're actually moving this year to Clues, where we're able to present a Carnegie Hall program entitled Link Up, which is fully interactive for students. Most of them will be hearing a professional orchestra for the very first time in their lives, and you never know which student in the audience might be so inspired to pick up a musical instrument and pursue it, or for anyone else that's in attendance there to be able to hopefully develop the lifelong appreciation for the great arts. But your financial support is so important to allow us to continue to present meaningful concerts in a space that's open to all, intentional programming, thematically driven programming, where we can start dialogues and have conversations with each other. It is only through, again, your financial support that we're able to continue to flourish as we have been for so many years.
Exactly. And no gift is too small. So whatever you can give, make one today. And we look forward to celebrating you with you, our 41st season, Land in the Music.